Each one decides, based on his Bible trained conscience, whether he will accept blood or not. Jehovah's Witnesses give high regard to life, very high regard to life.
In October 29, 2023, as Jehovah's Witnesses in the state of Kerala, India, were celebrating the regional convention, several bombs were detonated. As of the recording of this video, 7 people have died from the attack, most of them from severe burns in their bodies, including a 12-year-old girl. The culprit, Dominic Martin, who claims to have been affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses in the past, turned himself in to the police immediately after the attack. He also released his manifesto online. This marks the deadliest attack on Jehovah's Witnesses in the country, and it sent shockwaves through the worldwide JW community. Naturally, more people in India wanted to know more about Jehovah's Witnesses, since they remain a relatively unknown sect. There are around 57,000 JWs in India, in a country of more than 1.4 billion people, so Watchtower deployed a representative to speak on behalf of the Indian JW community to the media. Today, we are going to analyze 2 of these interviews, because they give us a fascinating insight on how the Watchtower PR department works, and we will see how Watchtower representatives are willing to twist the truth in order to save face. Trigger warning, some of this is really upsetting.
The other thing is, he said that Dominic Martin said that he was trying to bring attention to the activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I wanted to ask you, what are the common misconceptions about this community, and how do you go about tackling them?
Yes. Sometimes people wonder what is Jehovah's Witnesses public ministry all about? As you know, Jehovah's Witnesses are known throughout the world uh, to go and meet people. We share a message of hope and comfort with everyone. Jehovah's Witnesses go out, meet people, share a message of peace and hope. And it makes no sense. Why would somebody do such a thing?
In his confession video that he posted on Facebook, he mentioned that he disagreed with quote unquote anti-national activities that he accused your community of doing. What could these kinds of, what is your response to these allegations, and what could these kinds of activities be?
Yeah, his comments are offensive to every Jehovah's Witness. They are misleading. They are loaded with falsehood. Jehovah's Witnesses love the country wherever they live in. We love India. We love the community where we live in India. And we appreciate this country, the people so much that we want to go out and meet them.
Joshua mentions that Jehovah's Witnesses love the countries they belong to, but this is simply not true. Jehovah's Witnesses look forward to the day where all the nations of the earth are destroyed by Jehovah. How can you claim to love your country when you are praying for its downfall?
And Jehovah's Witnesses are peaceable around the world. Like many are saying, this is the first time that something like this has happened to Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, we are there for more than 100 years in India. We've had thousands and thousands of conventions every year for those 100 years. In India, this year, we finished about 50 odd conventions, right from the north of India to the south of India. And everything went peacefully. In fact, our meetings are open to people. Our conventions are open to people. We translate our website into more than 1,080 languages. All of this is free of cost because we want people to read the message of peace and hope that we are spreading. Yeah, that is who Jehovah's Witnesses are for you.
Joshua and his host then talk about the JW Library app and how well organized JWs are supposed to be.
Found out that you have an app which is sort of very structured and globally accessible, over 522 languages.
It all reads off very strangely, almost like a bluff piece. I mean, I'm not saying this news section was paid for, but it's quite suspicious.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is that I know the Jehovah's Witnesses really advocate returning to the biblical text as source material, and that you try to live your life as closely to the Bible as possible. This includes um, practices that are rather unconventional, like not accepting blood transfusions or not celebrating birthdays. This is something that has kind of created a stereotype around Jehovah's Witnesses. Just wanted a bit more clarity on these kinds of practices, and how does one go about living like a Jehovah's Witness in a modern society?
Well, yes, I mean, it's everything is personal decision. While we have our publications which explains the Bible
Mhm.
principles, but each individual has to decide whether he wants to follow that or not. So it's personal
Mhm.
responsibility. Each one carries his own load, just the Bible says. So yeah, that is what we believe and what we practice. In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses give high regard to life, very high regard to life. We have instructions that even if you're traveling by a scooter, the pillion rider should also wear a
Mhm.
helmet. Is because not to be,
Mhm.
to be caught or just to save face with the law enforcement agencies, but life is precious. So the principle is life is precious, and that is why we do things. So we have a high regard for life, whether riding a scooter, riding a car, or even in case of blood transfusion. Jehovah's Witnesses give high regard to life, but it's a personal decision. And we are also happy that the medical community has come up with very much, uh, you know, uh, transfusion alternatives. And each Jehovah's Witness decides, according to his Bible trained conscience, which kind of medical care he will go for or not.
Joshua is just outright lying, or better said, he's saying a half truth, which is still lying. Jehovah's Witnesses are completely prohibited from accepting blood transfusions.
It was the same for early Christians. They received written direction to keep abstaining from blood. Jehovah's Witnesses still obey that command today, even though it can be a challenge to understand how that command should be applied to the numerous medical treatments now available. Donated whole blood is often separated into its four main components: red cells, white cells, platelets, and plasma. We abstain from blood by refusing to accept the transfusion of whole blood or of any of those four main components.
I had to make clear to my doctor that I absolutely would not accept blood or any of the four main components. And I also explained to him what medications and other treatments that I was willing to accept.
If a JW is caught accepting a blood transfusion, he is most likely to be disfellowshipped and shunned by family and friends. So legally speaking, yes, Jehovah's Witnesses do personally decide if they will accept a blood transfusion because no one is going to force an adult JW to reject one. But the consequences for accepting it are incredibly harsh. We're talking about being completely ostracized from your family and friends. Is that what you call freedom to decide? And when it comes to a child's medical care, it's even worse because in most countries, children have no say in the medical treatment they receive. So a JW parent can refuse life-saving medical care for his child on religious grounds and pretty much just watch him die, which is something that has happened over and over again. So no, Joshua, no one is going to buy your lies. How can you be so blatantly dishonest while claiming to serve the God of truth?
Saluting the flag, well, it is a religious decision based on the Bible, because saluting the flag or the national anthem, singing the national anthem, it's like a sacred devotion to the country. And for us, devotion belongs to our God, Jehovah. But we respect whenever the national anthem is sung. We stand respectfully wherever it is done. And yes, we respect people's right to engage in these activities, and we expect that people respect our rights to abstain from what the Bible says we can do or not do.
You respect people's right to engage in these activities, except when it's your own children.
Got it. Any parting thoughts as a national spokesperson? What is the kind of message that you would like to send to not just Jehovah's Witnesses in India, Christians in India?
Yeah, first of all, Vandana, thank you very much for having me, allowing us to give the accurate picture of who Jehovah's Witnesses are. Jehovah's Witnesses around India will be knocking on your doors, because that is a part of our worship. Like for a good Hindu, he goes to temple, he worships in the way that he does. For a Jehovah's Witness, a good Jehovah's Witness will go out, meet people, share a message of hope and comfort. So Jehovah's Witnesses will be out around India, not just in Kochi, but around India on the weekends, during the weekdays. Well, listen to them. You don't have to agree with everything they have to say, but just listen to them. We love to talk to people and share this message that very soon this entire globe will be a place that will be filled with happy, healthy people living in peace with each other.
Yeah, at the expense of 8 billion people, including 1.4 billion citizens of India. You forgot to include that tiny caveat.
So this is our message, that if Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door, listen to what they have to say. You don't have to agree with everything they have to say. Everyone has a personal right to choose what he wants to believe. In fact, there are also people who don't believe in any God. That is a personal right too. So we respect people that they give us a chance and hear us out.
Holy cow. This man just took his horrific tragedy to sell his religion. No mention of the victims and who they were. Not a single mention of Jesus. Nope, just half-truths and blatant marketing of JW.org. He's a perfect Watchtower representative. And early in the interview, Joshua said that Jehovah's Witnesses share a message of hope and comfort with everyone. But what he fails to see is that the message he's sharing is incredibly gruesome. This man, and 8 million of his brothers and sisters, believe that soon, Jehovah will burn billions of people to ash for the crime of belonging to the wrong religion. And in a country like India, where the vast majority of its citizens are Hindus and Muslims, this divine judgment would mean the end of literally everyone. And as you probably imagined, Watchtower deployed Joshua to a few dozen news stations. And in this following interview, look how they have propped him up against this giant JW.org logo and this sanitized JW history book, which, ironically, barely talks about India. Joshua starts the interview repeating the same talking points as before, but then the host starts talking about the motivations of the attack.
Okay, so Dominic Martin, in his confessional video, he's made a lot of claims. He said that the reason that he targeted the congregation was because he felt that the Jehovah's Witnesses was anti-national. Now that video went viral, and over 1 million people have watched it.
Hello, എൻ്റെ പേര് മാർട്ടിൻ. ഇപ്പോൾ നടന്നൊരു സംഭവ വികാസം നിങ്ങളെല്ലാവരും അറിഞ്ഞു കാണുമെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. യഹോവയുടെ സാക്ഷികൾ നടത്തിയിരുന്ന ഒരു കൺവെൻഷനിൽ ബോംബ് സ്ഫോടനമുണ്ടാവുകയും ഗുരുതരമായ പ്രത്യാഘാതങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ചെയ്തു. എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചുവെന്ന് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല. എന്നിരുന്നാലും സംഭവിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നതിൽ ഉറപ്പുണ്ട്. അതിൻ്റെ പൂർണ്ണ ഉത്തരവാദിത്വം ഞാൻ ഏറ്റെടുക്കുകയാണ്. ഞാനാണ് ആ ബോംബ് സ്ഫോടനം അവിടെ നടത്തിയത്. 16 വർഷത്തോളം ഞാൻ ഈ പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന വ്യക്തിയാണ്. അന്നൊന്നും ഞാൻ ഒട്ടും തന്നെ സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ട് എടുത്തിരുന്നില്ല കാര്യങ്ങൾ. ഒരു തമാശ രൂപം മാത്രമേ മുന്നോട്ട് പോയിരുന്നു. എന്നാൽ ഒരു 6 വർഷത്തിന് മുമ്പ് വരെ ഞാൻ ചിന്തിച്ചപ്പോൾ ഇത് വളരെ തെറ്റായ ഒരു പ്രസ്ഥാനമാണെന്നും ഇതിലെ പഠിപ്പിക്കലുകൾ വളരെ രാജ്യദ്രോഹപരമാണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയുകയും ഞാനത് തിരുത്തണം എന്നവരോട് പലവട്ടി ആവശ്യപ്പെടുകയും ചെയ്തു. എന്നിരുന്നാൽ ഇവരാരും അത് ചെയ്യാൻ തയ്യാറാകുന്നില്ല. മുതിരുമ്പോൾ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നവർ വോട്ട് ചെയ്യരുത്. എനിക്കൊരു പോംവഴിയും കണ്ടെത്താൻ കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല. ഈ ആശയം, തെറ്റായ ആശയത്തിൽ പ്രതികരിച്ച് എനിക്ക് പറ്റൂ. രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടികളൊന്നും ഇടപെടില്ല. കാരണം മതം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു പേടിയാണ്. ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ തന്നെ പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷനിൽ പോയിട്ട് സറണ്ടർ ആവുകയാണ്. അന്വേഷിച്ച് വരേണ്ട ആവശ്യമൊന്നുമില്ല. പിന്നെ മൂന്നാമത്തെ കാര്യം പറയുന്നത്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ബോംബ് സ്ഫോടനം നടന്നത്, അതിൻ്റെ ഫോർമുല നിങ്ങൾ ടെലികാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യരുത്. വളരെ അപകടകരമാണത്. സാധാരണക്കാരൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ എത്തിപ്പെട്ടാൽ വൈരാഗോ അപകടം സംഭവിക്കും.
Now, let's be clear. There is no justification for what this man has done. His actions have caused the life of 7 innocent victims, and his relationship with Jehovah's Witnesses is not really made clear. But it's no surprise that this religion creates the conditions for extremists like him to develop, just like we saw in Germany a couple of months ago.
How do you react to his, some of his statements?
We've repeated that statement again and again, that his claims are false, and they are misleading. And it is highly offensive to Jehovah's people, Jehovah's Witnesses in India and worldwide. Like I said, Jehovah's Witnesses are peaceful. Somebody wants to sensationalize things, and that is what they are doing. But we are still waiting for the police to, come up with clear-cut the picture, and we will see what the clear motives are of the individual, of the alleged perpetrator.
He literally just told you in his manifesto The attacker saw the Jehovah's Witnesses' stance on political neutrality as a danger to your country. It doesn't mean his attacks were justified, but those were his motivations. Joshua didn't even bother addressing his claims.
You said that the Jehovah's Witnesses has been in India for 100 years. Can you tell us a little bit about the growth of the Jehovah's Witnesses in India? How has it grown since then?
Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses had its, you can say that Charles Taze Russell, who was a preacher, he was a Bible student himself. On his world tour, he came to India in 1905. Ever since then, there have been some presence of witnesses in this country. And slowly and steadily, we have grown up to 57,000 now, more than 57,000. So yeah, in 100 years, we've come up to 57,000.
And these numbers are pitiful for a country of 1.4 billion people, because for every one Jehovah's Witness in the country, there are 25,000 people who are not JWs. I mean, people that are soon gonna be destroyed at Armageddon. Has it really taken you 100 years to recruit 58,000 members? The conversion rates must be abysmal.
So our basic aim is we are evangelizers, and we take our message to people. It is a happy message that very soon the Creator, God, is going to bring peace on the earth and comfort and hope for people, because we were living in terrible times. Bad things happen to everyone. So that's our message to people from the time we've been here in India. In fact, we have had our start in the 1st century. Jesus is our leader, and our beliefs are based on his teachings, as well as the teachings of his apostles that were started in 1st century.
Every Christian sect claims exactly the same thing.
So you said you have about 57,000 members across India. A lot of your congregation is based in Kerala and here in Karnataka. Your headquarters is here in Bengaluru. So, why is it, so that Kerala and Karnataka is where most of your members are? Is there any particular reason?
We have members in Tamil Nadu. We have members in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, in Maharashtra, in Delhi, in Punjab, in Northeast. So all over India, we're spread, the 57,000. Yeah, most of them are down south, but we have our presence in all over India.
And the explanation for this is incredibly simple. The Christian population of India is concentrated in the south and in the northeast. And surprise, surprise, that's where JWs have been more successful in these regions where there's already a lot of Christians, because converting Hindus and Muslims is particularly difficult.
Do you believe that, after these attacks, obviously people are curious about Jehovah's Witnesses. 57,000 people is still a small number of people in a country that's 1.1 billion, right? So do you think that there are going to be a lot more questions on you? There's going to be a spotlight on you. Is that a concern?
It already has been a spotlight. We've had 2 times newsmen come to us. Other media outlets are coming to us. And yes, we are happy. Anna, we are very happy that people are coming to the right people, to Jehovah's Witnesses at the national headquarters, to ask what their beliefs are. We're so thankful to News Minute, that you're not believing all the misinformation that is being spread around the country. And we are thankful that you're actually asking us to clarify most of our beliefs. So thank you very much. And we believe in dealing with fair and objective media outlets, and that is why we are talking to you.
In other words, thank you, News Minute, for letting us sugarcoat our atrocious policies so that more Indian citizens are fooled into joining our cult.
I'll just tell you a few examples of how Jehovah's Witnesses have maintained their neutrality, like you're saying, even during hyper-national situations. During the Second World War, when Nazi Germany was at its peak, many Jehovah's Witnesses stayed neutral, and that is why they lost their lives. In fact, this is what, I have a few quotes from the Member of Parliament from Germany. This is what he says: the conduct of Jehovah's Witnesses in the concentration camps and prisons embodies virtues that are essential today as they were in the past. Given the increasing brutality against foreigners and against political or ideological dissenters, these virtues are a must for every citizen of our country. This was in 1999.
Hey Joshua, why don't you pull up the Declaration of Facts written by Joseph Rutherford, in which he sympathized with the ideals of the Nazi government? Oh wait, they don't teach you that in Watchtower school. So this is the perfect time to remind you, dear viewer, that Watchtower is not politically neutral in any sense of the word. They were members of the United Nations for 10 years, and even to this day, they lobby the governments of Europe through the OSCE. Rules for thee, but not for me.
We appreciate people, they have their views, and we just want that courtesy to be returned back to us, of, allowing us to believe what we want to.
Oh boy, JWs appreciate people and their views. If this was actually true, you would not be trying to change their religion. You just can't stand Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhists because you think of them as idol worshippers, worthy of destruction. I'm sure JWs wouldn't appreciate when other people try to convert them, but they're unable to extend the same courtesy to people of another faith.
One of your standpoints is that you don't believe in blood transfusions. Given the scale of the attacks that took place last week, a lot of people needed surgery. They probably need follow-up surgeries as well, and different kinds of medical interventions. So, was there a stand taken nationally to allow such transfusions to take place, or is it an individual's choice on whether they?
Absolutely, it's an individual personal choice. The Bible is very clear. It commands us to abstain from blood at Acts chapter 15, verse 29. Each one decides, based on his Bible-trained conscience, whether he will accept blood or not. But believe it or not, medical science has grown to such an extent today that bloodless alternatives abound. It's only that people do not know about it.
Are you also going to mention that in most cases, these bloodless operations are much more expensive and difficult to access? Do you really think that the average citizen of Kerala is going to have access to a bloodless operation in their small town clinic? You delusional man.
So my last question is, I think some days ago, the Kerala spokesperson mentioned that there was they knew about Dominic Martin, rather that he gave some statements about Dominic Martin. Can you tell us any information that you've gathered in the last week about him? What have you learned in the last week by speaking to your colleagues?
Well, right now we are waiting for more information from the police, and we do not want to speculate before everything comes out. But one thing I would like to say is that Dominic Martin, the alleged perpetrator, has had no association with Jehovah's Witnesses for many, many years.
Okay. But at one point he wasn't. So it's been many years.
That's what he claims, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for speaking.
Thank you very much.
There you have it, folks. Clear evidence that Watchtower encourages its representatives to blatantly lie to the media in order to make the religion seem less extreme. Anyone that is familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses knows that they are not allowed to accept a blood transfusion. But Joshua knows that most of his fellow Indian citizens have never even heard of JWs, so he is willing to lie in order to save face. Just like we saw with Patrick a couple of months ago. This is known as theocratic warfare, using lies and half-truths in order to defend the reputation of the organization by means of deception. Watchtower is willing to do anything in order to save face. The ends always justify the means. You probably also noticed how Joshua kept hammering on about the positive message shared by Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witnesses go out, meet people, share a message of peace and hope. We want people to read the message of peace and hope that we are spreading. Share a message of hope and comfort. It is a happy message.
But behind closed doors, Jehovah's Witnesses salivate for the destruction of all religion and all countries. But in public, they claim to share a message of peace. Hypocrisy at its highest level. Most JWs are peaceful, law-abiding citizens, thankfully, but their beliefs and their message is supremacist in nature. They expect the world to respect their beliefs, but they're unable to respect the beliefs of others. It's sickening that 7 people have lost their lives over this senseless attack. But my hope is that Watchtower opens their eyes and acknowledges that their horrific policies are the root of this suffering. Especially in a place like India, where religious violence can erupt at any minute. Watchtower needs to abandon their prohibition of blood transfusions and their shunning mandate, or they will keep putting their followers in grave danger. Thank you for watching, and stay away from the tower.